After the bombing of Sir Galahad, the remnants of 5 Brigade continued with their mission to take the mountains above Port Stanley. The formidable Tumbledown mountain was held by Argentina's 5th Marine Battalion, well-trained professional soldiers. The task of taking it fell to the Scots Guards. The day before the assault, its senior officers climbed Goat Ridge, overlooking Tumbledown. Major John Kisley commanded a company of 150 men.
We looked through binoculars to see where the best way up it might be. I thought it looked rather forbidding, rather steep, and very craggy. And in the afternoon, I held an orders group, and they were saying to me, "Come on, sir, what's it going to be like?" And I was saying, "It's going to be a tough fight, and we're going to win it." And I suppose those simple sorts of things were maybe the things they wanted to hear.
As dusk fell, 600 guardsmen prepared for battle. There is no visual record. The unfolding drama is relived through some of the men who fought there. Unusually, the Scots Guards were ordered to wear berets when they went into action.
And we knew that the outline of the Argentines' tin helmets could give them away in the silhouette. We believed, so that we could identify our own men and not see this outline in the darkness, that we should wear berets.
Commanding Officer Colonel Mike Scott had also come up with a clever password.
An expression well known to every Scotsman, particularly Glaswegians, is "Hey Jimmy!" And so that was our password. And the other beauty of it, of course, was we knew the Argentinians couldn't pronounce a J. So if an Argentinian heard what was going on and thought, I'll copy that password, he would say, "Hey, Himmy."
Tumbledown would become a battle that the Scots Guards came close to losing. Spearheading the attack were 30 men from 13 Platoon. They were in the thick of the fighting all night. Early in the advance, their platoon sergeant, the most experienced man, was shot dead. Lance Sergeant Tom McGuinness found himself unofficially running the platoon.
At this stage, I wasn't scared, I wasn't thinking of being a hero, and I also wasn't thinking, because I believed at that time the minute that I stopped to think would be the time that someone could shoot me.
The Argentines soon had 13 Platoon pinned down. With heavy fire raining down, McGuinness clambered up steep rocks above the enemy.
I could hear Argentine voices directly below me, the voices of possibly 5 or 6 Argentine men. I started throwing grenades down, both high explosives and phosphorus grenades. You could hear the screaming, you could hear the shouting, and I continued to throw these grenades. I probably only needed 2 or 3 grenades, but I probably threw about 20.
The Argentine bunker positions were protected by snipers. McGuinness knew he had to take them out.
There was a guardsman, Billy Silver, and Billy said to me, Sergeant, there's one over here." I got a 66mm anti-tank weapon. The sniper actually put his head back up over the rock. I fired the anti-tank weapon. The following day they found a body without a head.
In spite of McGuinness's brave efforts, in over 4 hours the platoon had made little ground. Company Commander John Kisley knew time was running out.
Clearly this was serious business. The commanding officer was telling me as much on the radio, that the whole success of the night's operations depended on my company getting to the top in darkness.
And I started to get concerned. because my worry was what was going to happen come dawn if we hadn't taken Tumbledown, if the Argentinians still had a presence on Tumbledown. And starting to go through my mind was, what was I going to do about it?
He was saying, you're the guy on the ground, you're the guy nearest to the problem, you solve it in your own way, but as quickly as possible.
With covering fire coming from Lance Sergeant McGuinness and 13 Platoon, John Kisley and 40 men began a do-or-die assault on the rocks towards the summit.
We started charging up the slopes of Mount Tumbledown, moving forward in small groups, firing as we went. The enemy were fighting in a very determined fashion. And certainly on one occasion I ran out of ammunition and had to use my bayonet.
John Kisley himself certainly bayoneted one Argentinian, if not two. Now that's quite sharp for a company commander.
Probably at this stage he'd taken probably 50–60% casualties, and probably another 10–20% actually thought they were casualties and just lay there.
And by the time we reached the last crest, there were only, I think, 7 of us. We looked down a distance in front of us and we could see the lights of Port Stanley, which was a huge surprise because I had imagined Stanley would be blacked out. And we stood there stock still in amazement, which was a very stupid thing to do because right then a machine gun opened up about 200 yards ahead of us and 3 of the group were hit.
By dawn, the 12-hour battle to take Mount Tumbledown was over. 9 guardsmen were dead and 43 wounded.
It was a pretty chaotic scene. There were a number of wounded people being tended to. There were stretcher parties lifting people back down the hill. And away in the distance, one could see some of the opposition running back down into Port Stanley. A chaotic scene.
The Guards waited for a counterattack from General Menendez in Stanley. As at Mount Longdon, no counterattack ever came.
I passed by the commanding officer, Mike Scott. Mike Scott was probably getting a bit upset, and all he turned around and said was, why couldn't these bastards have surrendered yesterday, which would have saved his men.
You'd think you'd look like people who'd won Wimbledon or something. We didn't. We were shattered. We were very, very glad to be alive. We had lost some of our mates. I was very worried about some of the people who'd been wounded, whether they were going to survive.
People had lost legs, people had lost arms. And not one of them cried, not one of them screamed. Every one of them, in good guardsman fashion, just sat there. Not a word from any of them. Some of them were actually rolling their own cigarettes, just a stump, and sitting rolling their own cigarettes. And whether it was shock or not, I don't know. But looking back, it was extremely difficult, but they made you so, so proud.
Film cameras recorded the tragic aftermath of the battle.
While the pipers played, the Scots Guardsmen who had died were taken to battalion headquarters. And there they were covered with whatever was available until they could be taken back to Blue Beach, where they were buried in the makeshift cemetery there. In training exercises, at the conclusion, there is a big shout, "Endex." It means it's all over. And at that point, all the dead stand up. The difference here was they didn't.
With Tumbledown taken, the Argentine army was now in full retreat.
Was that fucking medic? Shut his head off. Oh, Christ. Johnny, come on, keep breathing, keep awake. You're alright, Johnny. You're alright. Get your ass in here! Clear it! Bother! Move! No! Come on! Stinky! Come on, Stinky! Come on, yeah!
Number 1 platoon will join left flank company here in extended line to act as a fire base. Robert, you. 2 and 3 platoons to do a right flanking attack on the machine gun post, going down the gully which runs down the right-hand side of Tumbledown barracks. 3 to the left-hand side, 2 to the right-hand side.
Peter.
Robert.
We know what's to the front, we don't know what's behind. I'm senior, I should take the right-hand side.
Yes, all right, Robert.
supposed to run.
Targets fall when hit.
Come on, let's go!
Give me a... You pull the whole grenade. Go in! Dios, no me mate! ¡Por Dios, no me mate! ¡Ayúdame! ¡Ayúdame! ¡Hijo de puta! Please. 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 Excuse me, sir!
There it is! And you will be mine! Sweeping! And there it is! Isn't this fun?